Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. It is my pleasure to be with you all today, remotely here from the United States, to present on two of the topics that will be the focus of your conversation today, which is the nicotine pouch PMTA and the technical analysis from the Zen TPL, as well as the US regulatory trends that are occurring. There's been many things and many events occurring in the United States. And so we'll talk about really what this means for manufacturers and our industry. So my name is Dr. Jessica Zadinak, and I am CEO and Chief Research Officer of ARAC. So first, a little bit about our organization. We are a social and behavioral sciences research firm. We are US-based, women-owned small business. We have a phenomenal team of behavioral scientists, statisticians, survey methodologists, and clinical experts. So our focus area is on modules 5 and module 6 of the PMTA. Here is a great picture of our phenomenal team. Super excited to be getting the chance to work with many of you in the room this upcoming year. We not only have expertise in the tobacco and nicotine industry, but we have expertise across the spectrum, whether that be in medical devices, regulatory strategy, product innovation, sensory product research, and statistical analysis. But here's a few of the areas of our expertise on the screen. All right, so diving into the topics for discussion today. So first, I'll be covering the topic of technical analysis of the nicotine pouch PMTA, specifically the Zen PMTA and the TPL review, and also covering off on, the U.S. nicotine pouch market trends and insights of the U.S. consumer. And then I will chat about the FDA, CTP, and PMTA and what that looks like in 2025. So for the first topic here, the technical analysis of nicotine pouch PMTA. I'm going to focus on modules 5 and module 6 because that is our area of expertise, and focus on a few key takeaways from the Zen TPL review. As you all are aware, it was our first authorized nicotine pouch for the United States. However, we have several different brands of nicotine pouches that are currently sold on the market. They are under discretion of the FDA to be able to continue selling their products while their applications are still under review. And this is going to be an important point that I'm going to bring back up in a few slides. So if we look at module 5 and the scientific research they conducted to support this authorization, the first key takeaway to consider is that they really developed a sound bridging strategy that allowed them to combine the scientific published literature with their internal candidate product specific research. And so what they did was look at first the results of their dissolution testing in the former modules of their PMTA. And when they had results from their dissolution testing that suggested similarity or sameness of two specific SKUs, flavors specifically, they basically made the assumption and assertion that both of those SKUs did not need to be tested in module 5. So for example, if dissolution testing results demonstrated that strawberry and watermelon flavors had the same results, they would only pick one of those for testing in the module 5. So module 5, recall, is about the PK testing and abuse liability. And so with this clinical research, they really had a limited number of flavors that were actually assessed. And they utilized, as I just mentioned, their dissolution testing results to bridge that, as well as the published scientific research, as well as literature on the prevalence of different oral nicotine pouch products in the United States and similarities and differences. And they took a very comprehensive strategic approach to providing reliable and robust data to support the APPH benefit under module 5. Really, the key takeaway here is look at your other modules in your application to help you substantiate the science in module 5. And that bridging is possible in being utilized in module 5 to support a PMTA. Module 6 really that is our main focus area of expertise. We have, I think at this point, 5 different behavioral scientists, and really our core is in our Module 6 studies. Those Module 6 studies include human factors and label comprehension testing, TPPI studies that assess the perceptions and the intentions of your candidate product within the US population, as well as our switching studies or actual use studies or longitudinal surveys. All 3 of these main basis of evidence is required under Module 6. What the main key takeaways here for Module 6 are, number 1, those types of research buckets are required to demonstrate your population level benefit to the US population. So you will need to test non-users, current users. You will need to assess those that are legal age to 25, 24, 26. You will need to be able to tell the FDA what is the intentions or the potential for youth picking up your product. The main thing and main key takeaway here, we did not see too much of the science that was surprising to us under Module 6, except for the research that they utilized to demonstrate the APPH benefit of switching. So we have to remember there are several different types of designs that can be used to give the FDA the data they're looking for on the benefit to your population. Then we have to remember Zen has been on the market for several years. And so Swedish Match really had that opportunity to collect actual use data of consumers purchasing their product and following them over time. So point of sale was a great avenue for them to be able to provide FDA with, hey, what is the percentage of consumers and smokers that have purchased then and now don't smoke anymore? What are the percentage of US consumers who purchase Zyn on a regular basis and dual use Zyn with other types of nicotine and tobacco products? The main key takeaway here, which we've been saying for months now, is that the novel oral nicotine space in the United States, first of all, has huge potential for growth, and there is still a huge gap, particularly among women, that the nicotine oral nicotine space has not tapped into yet. But really, I think we need to keep in mind that with the larger pouches, a key demographic and segment in the US are going to be your dippers. So your moist smokeless tobacco users and other types of oral tobacco users. And that is in fact also what Zyn found. Another aspect I want to bring into play here is the understanding and focus on who your target audience is in the United States. We have a lot of clients, a lot of companies that come to us when they're way beyond the point of no return, and maybe they have already conducted other types of science to support a PMTA, and they're coming to us for Module 6. If there hasn't been some type of research done in advance on who your consumer is, where the gap is, what are their needs, what are their wants, what are they missing in the current oral nicotine space in the US, you're likely going to fall behind, and you're likely going to spend millions of dollars on an application, and the product might really not be successful within the US market or whatever market you're looking to expand into. So this slide just really gives you a snapshot of the different types of consumers all around the world. And in the United States, we are going to look different than those in other parts of the country. And that is the case no matter where you go. So we really like to get involved up front in the product development and innovation phase of within manufacturers and companies. And we want to make sure you all and everyone we speak to understands the importance of cultural competency. So really, this is when we go in all around the world to various parts of the world and we survey the consumer base. And we try and become a part of their culture, a part of their social norm, their personal norm, their culture norm. We want to know what biases they face. What kind of sensitivities do they have about different types of tobacco and nicotine products? And what are they missing? What will they not even approach because it goes against their cultural norms? That is what cultural competency is. And it is a key step in ensuring that your products are successful once they are authorized and legally able to be sold onto the market. So let's take a little bit take a little bit of time and look into what does the US market look like from the pouch space. We've conducted several different types of studies, and these are some results from one of them. When adult smokers were presented with nicotine pouch marketing and packaging and labeling, the top reasons right now for why a US consumer or US smoker is going to potentially use a nicotine pouch is they're going to use it where they can't smoke. They're going to believe, or they do believe, that it might help them to stop smoking or continue not smoking, maybe saving money, help them cut down on the number of cigarettes they're using a day. And then others believe they would thoroughly enjoy using it. Among non users, though, we really see a low intention of them picking up oral nicotine pouch products. Some of them, as you can note here, would say, I would not use them. I do not smoke, which from a PMTA authorization perspective, that's a really positive result. Other things, and I believe I'll be sharing these slides, so I'm not going to go through and do this quote by quote, but one of these I think is very important for us to consider. It probably took me a couple months just to get in the habit of maybe turning towards the oral nicotine product instead of turning towards the cigarette to make it a habit. We have to keep in mind this is a long-term goal for the United States and for the adult smoker in transitioning off of combustible cigarettes onto these alternative reduced risk products. Another thing to be keeping in mind, I'm going to get to this in a few slides. There are ways to prevent another debacle like we had in the end space. And so it is the duties of public health professionals and the general public and manufacturers to make sure kids do not start using this product. And so for industry, I think it's very important for manufacturers to realize it is mostly on you to demonstrate responsible innovation, responsible marketing, responsible going to market strategies that are legal, and in developing a good relationship with your regulator. Really, you can self-regulate. You can voluntarily age gate your online sales. You can introduce child-proof packaging, apply content, warning labels, and other things that you see on the screen. So turning now towards the second key topic you all will be talking about today, and that is, where are we in the United States when it comes to FDA, CTP, and the PMTA? As I just mentioned, we want to learn from past mistakes. We really did and currently do have a huge problem in the United States of the illicit and illegal market when it comes to the ends products. It was flooded with these products. They're untraceable, they're untrackable, unverifiable. Some of them have no scientific testing done on them. We do not know what the contents and ingredients of these products. We want to talk about public health and a public health crisis. I would turn to not knowing the ingredients and what is actually in these products as a huge public health crisis. And of course, there is the black market. Certainly, this was partially put on by, as we're getting ready to talk about, a FDA regulatory environment that lacked the prompt responsiveness and the prompt turnaround time to applicants or manufacturers that were submitting applications to the FDA. So there really was kind of a dual pathway or a dual approach here to increasing the illegal and illicit market in the United States related to ends. So what has happened and how can we prevent this from happening again? I'm not going to spend too much time on what occurred between 2020 and 2024 under the previous administration. I think all of us are well aware of some of those main key points. Some aspects of the industry really struggle to understand the PMTA process. There was the expansion, as I just mentioned, of the illicit market, the illegal market, which led to these increased products that were coming into the United States, coming to our market through loopholes. What are we going to see in 2025? Well, we've now seen a Republican-led federal government. I believe, and having been in the industry for 10 years, before that, I was in public health within the federal government sector for almost 5, so I understand how the bureaucracy works and how their system functions. I do believe with the Republican-led administration, we are going to see an increased focus on the process occurring as it is intended to occur, which number one means CTP will need to catch up on their backlog of PMTAs. This has significant implications for companies who have previously, maybe taken the approach of quickly get my application in, and then do the science because I have 3 years. I have 2 years before the FDA is going to even pick up my application and review it. I don't think that's going to be the case. I think the focus is going to be on catching up on the backlog and then trying to stick to the 180 days which you submit your application and then hear back from the FDA decision. So again, quicker time frame from you submit your application to acceptance, scientific review, and decision making as it is intended to do. That we will function in a truly pre-market type scenario when it comes to these novel tobacco and nicotine products like pouches. I think the clear standards of PMT process success is going to evolve. I think there's going to be continued discussion of what those changes might look like. But as I'll get to in just a slide or two, you're going to see that either this is going to take a significant amount of time, but also we have the legal TCA underneath all of this that is not going to change. I also fundamentally believe there is going to be a significant crackdown and action taken at the border. While enforcement may, I want to say, decrease or not be as greater of a focus internally within the United States, I fundamentally believe at the border we are going to see a significant crackdown. In fact, we're starting to already see that. So I think our goal, your goal and objective is to prevent a deja vu of what occurred at ends and to make your business successful and to do that legally and to do that with good, positive relationship with the U.S. regulator. So here's what we know. As I just mentioned, the law underscoring our industry has not changed. The Tobacco Control Act still exists. It's still the cornerstone of U.S. tobacco regulation, and it's not going anywhere for the foreseeable future. The PMTA guidance, while this might evolve, full legislative change is a huge lift. Certainly not going to be seeing that anytime soon with midterms coming up. And before we know it, we'll have another presidential election. We may see adjustments within the system, but certainly not going to be dismantling it. Science will always be needed. So we also, right about the same time, several of these adjustments to the regulatory environment occurred. We also had a Supreme Court ruling, 7-0 ruling, which is very significant. And really that should be signaling to industry that, some are speculating major reforms, major changes might be occurring. Yes, might be possible, but an overhaul of the PMTA pathway is not imminent right now. We are still going to need to follow the science as outlined in the PMTA guidance. This has not changed. Anything that does change in the next 6 months, year, 2 years, if you don't follow the PMTA process as is now, you will be either products kept at the border and no possibility of being sold in the U.S., or you will be in a situation like many were with ends, which are under red light from the FDA, under enforcement attack, essentially. And so really the only decision is to act now and put a PMTA, start doing the science with your understanding and awareness of what we have now. And in 12 months, 16 months, you are going to be you're going to be farther along than anybody else that's going to sit and wait and see what's going to happen. And anything that does happen, potential reform certainly is going to be facing litigation. So the overall takeaway really on these points is that the PMTA is here to stay. Even if there's a reconsideration under the PMTA guidance, it's going to be a reconsideration of the rigor of what science is needed. It's not science itself. And so the core structure, it will remain the same. So as I mentioned before with Zen, considering the module 6, your human factors, label comprehension study, TPPI study, demonstrating the benefit to the U.S. population through switching or actual use, those will remain. It may just be that a randomized control trial is not needed at this time, but you will still need to demonstrate with U.S. consumers the impact of your candidate product on the population level health benefit. And as I pointed out just a few minutes ago, I don't think any future PMTA reforms, they're not going to favor people who just sit and wait to see what comes with the new CTP director or what comes with various groups, petitioning Congress or the presidency. Actually, the opposite might happen. If you get in now, very similar to the oral nicotine pouch manufacturers before 2020, you get in now, you maybe then be able to have kind of preferential treatment and to be able to continue selling products under enforcement discretion. And that is all I have for you all. I appreciate your time and attention, even though remotely from halfway around the world. I do look forward to catching up with you all live with the question and answer. Will be 5 a.m. my time Wednesday morning, and really look forward to hopefully getting some questions from you all then. Take care and have a great day.